Hello and welcome to the EWG Mercury Talk Show today. Today we're going to be talking about March Madness, the 68-team tournament that runs from the middle of March to early April. We have a great panel today. We're going to start out from Mr. Rounds, introducing ourselves.
Perfect timing on the bill.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Rounds, I'm the faculty advisor here in the TV studio.
Bob Kundazi, I'm a history teacher here.
I'm Nick Spardello, and I'm a senior here at EWG.
I'm Brendan Quigley. I'm a senior here.
I'm Ivan Forcier, also a senior here.
John Crum, guidance counselor here.
Tom Mastriani, Business Media Technologies teacher.
Thank you. So far, I want to get the discussion started with a question. So far, what have been your favorite moments from this tournament specifically? We'll start off with Mr. Rounds.
Well, actually, my favorite moment, it didn't happen, is PC was supposed to win the whole thing at the end,
Yep.
or at least go to the Final Four, but it didn't happen because they got knocked out early. I was very disappointed that they would get knocked out in the first round to a team that was basically a play-in team.
Yeah.
So my favorite moment has not happened yet. So.
Mr. Kundazi?
Honestly, I guess my favorite moment would be when John Oliver took on the NCAA and crucified them on his show.
Yep.
I haven't been watching the action this year at all.
You know, I really liked UAB and what they've done. They really promoted cancer awareness this year by wearing two different colored shoes. I thought it was a great story, and being a 14 seed and upsetting a 3 seed was really great.
Nice. Ivan?
I think last night with the Kentucky game, blowing out West Virginia by doubling their score, that was pretty fun to watch after, especially West Virginia was talking up, saying they're going to beat Kentucky and make them 36-1, so that was pretty cool to see Kentucky just lay it to them.
I think what's great is just when you have these high seeds or low seeds upsetting the high seeds. I just think it's great when we get a 14 beating. It's exciting. It's great for the kids.
Yep.
Yeah, I like the upsets. My favorite moment, I'll pull a Ron Rounds, is when Kentucky falls, because I despise John Calipari.
Yep.
From his days at UMass when I went to UConn, he was like the bitter enemy. But I like that I called the UAB game.
Nice.
That's my only good pick. Half my bracket is gone, though. I had Villanova and Virginia in the Final Four, so
That's tough.
been disappointing that way, but exciting.
Well, directed at any member that wants to answer this, what have been some of your favorite March Madness moments from the past, and what have these moments has there been a moment that has endeared you to a certain player or team or school?
I think it's 3 years ago now when Kemba Walker and the UConn Huskies played Pitt in the Big East tournament, and Kemba Walker slammed home the buzzer beater to take down Pitt, and then after that they started that incredible run to take the championship home. So I think that was pretty awesome. Ever since then, I've been a Kemba Walker fan of the NBA and also of UConn a lot, so that was pretty great to see.
Nice. Anyone else?
PC in '87. PC going to the Final Four. Billy Donovan leading the way. Rick Pitino, when I liked him until he left, and I didn't like him anymore. But at that time, that was probably the most exciting time that I remember as far as the brackets.
Nice. Was that anyone else?
The PC, all the PC memories, right? Also back in '72 as well. And then the URI, I think it was '88 that URI made to the Elite Eight. Tyson Chandler and Tommy Garrick, those guys, they played really well, and they got knocked out, but still, it's URI going there. It was it was a pretty exciting time.
Yep.
I know as a guy from Connecticut, root for the Huskies last year was awesome. A team that with a brand new coach kind of didn't expect them to go as far as they did, and to have them win it was pretty exciting.
Yeah, special time. Mr. Mastriani?
Yeah, UConn alum,
Nice.
UConn resident, grew up there. Love Kemba, love Shabazz, love UConn. I was lucky enough to, when I went to UConn, be the photo editor of the school newspaper. So I got to travel with both the men and the women to NCAA tournament games, and right there on the baseline. UConn all the way, and they've won more national championships in the past 20 years than any other program. So
Nice.
Take that, Coach K.
Yep.
I really enjoyed 2010 Butler's run. they had a pretty magical run underneath Brad Stevens, and they almost took down Duke. They had 2 shots at the end to try to win it. One just rimmed out and a half-court shot nearly went in. But as I believe they were an 8 seed that year, and they made a really far run.
Yeah, that shot has been just the picture of how close you can be to joy and then despair. So, shifting the focus back to this year's tournament, who do you see as the favorite to win it all and cutting down the nets in early April?
Kentucky.
Yeah.
Kentucky, I mean,
It's going to be last night they crushed West
Yep.
Virginia, and everyone said West Virginia was a team that could, because of their size, could match up against them.
Yeah, no.
Not so much.
No.
They're just so athletic, so deep. I don't see anybody being able to beat them at all.
Yeah. Do you see any teams maybe just coming out and shocking people or surprising? What have you seen so far?
I think what you've seen to this, I know last night, I mean, you're seeing it's staying to kind of true to form. The teams that you expect to win are kind of winning. So
Back on the Kentucky topic, if Kentucky's matching up with Notre Dame in the Elite Eight, Notre Dame's looked good so far, so I think that could be a good game, and I think Notre Dame could be the ones that could take down UK if anyone's gonna.
Yeah. So how's everyone's bracket looking right now?
Not so good.
Not so good.
I would never engage in illegal gambling. So.
No. All right. All right. Well, that concludes the first half of the show. We'll be right back. We'll be right back after these messages.
Don't you want to be known as the cause?
Late last night, a serious accident happened with a group of distracted teens and a mother and her child.
Could you live with it?
Teens were driving late last night and went through a stop sign, hitting and killing the mother and child.
You can't undo this mistake.
Hi, my name is Betty Johnson. I was 17 years old when on June 18th, I was fiddling with the radio.
Joanne Winkelmeyer. I am 18 years old, and on May 5th, 2005, I was texting and driving.
My name is Lorenzo John Paul, and on July 17th, 2010, I got in a massive accident. One casualty, actually, just for spilling my coffee. Don't get distracted. Hello, and welcome back to the second half of the EWG Mercury show on March Madness. In many ways, the joy of the NCAA tournament makes us temporarily disregard the corrupt multi-billion dollar industry of the NCAA. How do you see the NCAA system of player exploitation? How long do you see it lasting? And how has this phrase student athlete changed over the years? We can start in this round.
Well, you automatically said corrupt,
Yeah.
exploiting.
Yep.
I'm sure a lot of people would argue that it's not exploitation, it's not corruption. We were talking, Mr. Guadagni and I were talking about this yesterday, and it has changed. Obviously, students, we were talking about students who are paid nothing, and their figures are placed in video games, and how many games are sold with their faces on it and names on it. And, is that exploitation? It's up to debate. I probably would say yes.
So, I mean, the thing is that the students are paid already. They're given these scholarships. So it's not an argument about whether they should be paid. It's an argument about how much they should be paid. And, so it's not some sort of principle of amateurism that people try to make it out to be. It's basically a false argument. It's just about how should they be compensated, and that the rules are set up so that all the compensation goes to the colleges, the coaches, and the NCAA itself. So, is it fair? No. So, one of the teams just recently sued, and they want to be certified as a union.
Yeah.
So maybe that's where we're going with that, right? That there will be a college, NCAA, Division I union, and that's how they'll work out how much everybody gets paid.
What's your opinion?
I have a question. Should colleges be able to have 5 players that they can just give scholarships to, full rides, which pretty much if 1 year of school is like $50,000. That's pretty much a $250,000 salary right there. Maybe if they made a cap of maybe you could have 3 players that you're going to give full scholarships to, and everyone else can have partial. Maybe that would make the playing field a little bit more fair.
Well, schools do that. Schools, they have so many scholarships available, and it's up to the team as to how they divide those up. So the team can take that scholarship and they can make 6 full scholarships, or they can do 3 full, and they can take the other 3 and they can split those up amongst kids. So that really is determined by the school and the athletic department on how they want to do that.
Well, I think these big schools, for these big schools that have big sports programs, I think almost everyone except for the walk-ons have full scholarships. So I think, what's your opinion, Ivan, on this?
They say that the students are getting the free education, but let's be honest, with the football, the D1 football and basketball players, we know they're not really going for the classes that much. They're just getting tutors and taking one class a semester, is writing a paper they can do with a tutor. So I think that we got to look into reviewing that more, saying the student athlete thing. To be honest, they're mostly athletes, and the student part's kind of hangs in front.
Well, it depends on the sport, though, too. So we're always talking about basketball and football. Football's the big moneymaker, but what about your field hockey player or your soccer player? They follow the same rules. So if their program is big-time football and the football players are getting paid this grand stipend, but you go for soccer, you're not getting anything, what's that going to do to youth sports? How will that affect what sports kids go into? What's the overall effect on that? And then going back to, are they student athletes? Those football kids, some of them are there for an education, but if they have a Thursday night ESPN game, and then they get home at 4 a.m. and they have to be in class at 8 a.m., how can we expect them to be students if they're playing a game at night, traveling all night, and then have 2 hours of sleep before they have to wake up and take an exam in one of their classes? So they're really set up to fail as students.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to be a successful athlete and a successful student at the college level.
And the thing we have to realize is nobody's making these students go to these universities and play the sport. The student agrees to go there and play for them, knowing very well that they're going to get an education, and that's part of it. If they feel like that their talent is worth more and that they don't have to go there. So they know it's like an apprenticeship program. I go and I get a job as working as an electrician as an apprentice. I'm going there to kind of hone my skills, to learn my skills, so that I could eventually become an electrician myself. But athletes, that's kind of the service. Is you go to college because that's going to be possibly a stepping stone to a professional career.
I have to say I disagree with that, though, because the NCAA is a monopoly. There is no place else to go. And also, it would be like being an electrical apprentice, but you're the best electrician in the world, because that's what these guys are, right? And you're still not going to get paid, but the schlep that's running the program gets paid. So,
but not everybody is a top athlete.
That's true. So that's why the market should decide who gets paid, right? So maybe you walk, you go to school, and you know what, Mr. Crom, we'll give you a scholarship, and that's going to be good for you. But since I'm the best basketball player that's ever lived, they're going to pay me, whatever. They'll come up with something, and that way the market can decide, instead of having this monopolistic system where it basically says, no, you're only going to get these scholarships, which they inflate the value of the scholarship tremendously, and you can't, not only can't you get paid, but if somebody gives you too many bagels, okay, that means that there's a violation of your school and you're going to be suspended or something like that. And you look at some of the stuff that's happened. I go back to the Michigan and the Fab Five there, right? How they excoriated those guys afterwards. They took their names down. They wouldn't even let them in on the campus, right? Because one of the guys took some money from a booster. It's crazy. Like a crazy system, they're criminals if they accept money from somebody, for whatever reason. It just doesn't make any sense.
To continue on that, I saw a documentary, and that old Texas running back Arian Foster was saying how in his days at Texas, he took some I think a loaf of bread from his coach, because every single night he would be searching for money in his dorm, and him and his buddies were going out to try and get food, and they didn't have enough money for food and couldn't find stuff. And how do you expect a D1 football athlete to perform when he's not getting proper nutrition because he can't afford the food? And by taking the food from the coach, that's a NCAA violation. The team and him can be penalized for that. I just don't see how that's right.
Well, that's definitely some interesting discussion and some very great points that all of you brought up. I want to thank everyone member of the panel for coming out. That's all we have time for today. This has been the EWG Mercury.
you.